I am your host, Leah Demba, and you are listening to the Oracle on Purpose podcast, where we help intentional leaders clarify their purpose and next steps to create a work and life of significance.
Hello. I am super excited today to have my special guest to talk about those big limits we have and upper limits and how they can hold us back from getting what we really wanted. Today, my guest is Edith Espinola, and what I am excited to share is, as I talked about in the post I put in earlier, that so many people look at their visions, their goals, their, whatever they want, especially when it comes to their money, and they feel like they get to a point where it's almost too unattainable. It feels like ridiculous. Like the numbers are really big and they just kind of lose the track of getting past that number to be where they need to be. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to speak with Edith. I know some of you have been following me for a minute and you've probably maybe put two and two together and realized that the person I'm about to speak to is somebody that I've been mentioning for a while, because one of the great things that Edith has brought to my sphere, my circle, is, besides her just brilliance and her radiance, is this drive to really reach new heights with her work that she does. And part of that is in revenue and sales and things like that. So what I wanted to share, and I know that, Edith, this is part of the reason I wanted to bring you on, because so many people that follow me have these really big goals and these big visions, and they feel like, I don't know, can I really do this, right? And so they get kind of stuck in these patterns that keep them from doing whatever it takes to do it. And I know that you have such a great story about where you are today. So what I want to start with is really just kind of letting you introduce yourself, tell us who you are and what you do, and then we're going to dive in and kind of unpack how this all came about right now. So go ahead, you take it away.
Okay, thank you so much, Leah, for having me today. So I'm Edith Espinola, and I am a realtor in Los Gatos, California with Keller Williams. And I am also the productivity coach for the office until the end of the month. And then I am branching out into my own life coaching business. And I'm really excited about that. Sorry, I probably should have.
You're great. It's so great. And so, yeah, one of the things I think is so important is part of what you just said. And people don't realize when you start talking about growing our businesses or leveraging or scaling and all the however you want to talk about it, it becomes about more than just ourselves. Right. And I know that we've talked about that. So let's kind of rewind for people. That's kind of who you are and where you are now. Can you share kind of where were you before we started working? How was your business? What were things, what was the status of your life and business before you and I started working together?
Okay, so, for my life, I always think of it as there was the time before and the time after my life-changing event. And my life-changing event is when my husband died. And I went into, I call it, it was the dark night of the soul. I really had to find who I was because life was no longer going to be the same. So it took me a while to figure out who I was, where I wanted to go. And I decided, instead of just rebuilding my life, that I was going to create my life. And so I became interested in manifestation and energy work and understanding the power that lies within me. So I started to do workshops called Beautiful Life Manifestation, where I shared with other people how they too could manifest the life of their dreams. And I found that while I was doing that, I was really helping people to see who they were and with a clarity that they didn't have before. And that just touched my soul so much because I felt so strongly that that was what I wanted to do. Was I wanted to find out who I was. And as I found out more and more about who I am, I realized that there's so many of us that don't recognize the power that lies within. And so as I moved forward in my real estate career and in my coaching career, I really want people to be true to who they are and really, like, you know, tell me what they want. Right?
Right. I'm going to interject here, because I think when you and I first met, we had a conversation about Pandora's Box.
Yes.
And that, you know, we met in one of those experiences where I had been involved in sharing a fireside chat with the Oracle. And I think that's the very first time we might have met.
It was.
But you remember that you were kind of living in two worlds at the time. You were kind of separating both of these things. So, you know, what was it, you know, that was like definitely the first time I think that we met, but what was it after that was your point where you said, yeah, this, it's time for me to do something different and to start working with me as a coach, but also like you had a much bigger vision at that point, what you wanted to have. So can you tell us a little bit about like, what was that moment when you finally said, okay, we're going to do this?
So I kept going back and forth, you know, real estate, coaching. And real estate, I love it because I love the people. I love to help them get into, you know, what their dream is for themselves and their family. And it's such a rewarding feeling. And then I wanted to do coaching because I felt like, for the same reasons, right? I wanted people to really know, you know, who they were and get to their next step in their life. And I kept thinking that they were separate, that I had to do them separately. So, you know, I realized that, and one of my teachers was like, Edith, you are spiritual and you're a healer, no matter what you do. So don't try to separate the two. And then I met you, and you were like, you know what? You're going to open Pandora's Box. And I thought, I'm in.
Right? I don't know. I mean, I got to give you gratis for being okay with me going, hey, let's go open Pandora's Box and see what's inside there. Because I think you're to your point, this is not uncommon. So if you're listening to us right now and you're following along, know that this is it. So often people feel like they have to choose. Mm-hmm. And it's that painful non-choice place that gets them feeling stuck. So was that for you? Did you ever experience anything like that where you felt like not making the choice was making, you know, how did that work for you? I know a lot of people out there that I work with and that follow me are often in that place of like, I have this inside of me, and yet this is my job, you know, and especially like you said, for you were doing well. So what was it that was like, okay, that's enough? How was it for you?
You know, I was coaching people to live their greatest life, and I'm doing manifestation workshops to tell people how to manifest the life that they want. And here I was trying to decide, do I do this? Do I do that? When I realized that not making the choice was making a choice, right? Like I was making the choice to stay stuck. I was making the choice to make the decision like some big giant thing that I couldn't decide on myself. And then when I met you and we talked about, you know, what the possibilities were and opening up Pandora's Box, I felt like, you know, all the positive connotations of that, right? I felt like, what could be possible if I really stepped into the fullness and the greatness of me? Mm-hmm. And so that's why I decided to work with you, because I knew that you saw me, right, and I knew that you could help me to see what I wasn't seeing.
And boy, did you. Boy, did you. And I was like, boom. And yes, to Edith's point, for those of you who are watching, when I think of Pandora's Box and when I saw this image for her, which is often what I do as an oracle, I often see images for my clients. And when I saw her, I was like, you have this box in front of you. It's like Pandora's, there's so much in there, and we just need to open it up and see what's inside. Because once we know what's inside, we know what we have to work with. And so you did, and I'm so thrilled. I love working with, I'll say this all the time, and anybody watching knows I say this, I love my clients and I love working with you. And I know that people on the outside who may be watching this, and you even mentioned this to yourself, I've worked with a coach before, I've done all this, or I've invested in all these choices, and I'm still where I'm at. What made you finally decide to make the investment to work with me?
I saw that you spoke to me and you spoke to my soul. What you were teaching, the subjects that you had on, during our conversations and on your recordings and on your other lives, they were things that I felt like it was time for me to really embrace them. And so when I decided that you were a mentor worth following and learning from, then it just opened up this, it was like the key to help me open up who I am. And I have been thrilled ever since. And you push, but in a good way.
I love that you say that, because it's like, if people are watching this going, oh, she's saying, no, I'm honest, and I expect all of my clients to be honest with me. So yes, you're right. I do push, and I push with love. It's love nudges. So which that brings me to my next question, because you said, and many realtors, right? People of your ilk, they do get coaches, all kinds of different coaches. So I know for myself that I have multiple coaches. You've had multiple coaches. So tell us, what do you think is different about the work that we do together that maybe other coaches you've had worked in the past, specifically, obviously, around your work and your business, and how maybe that's different?
Mm-hmm. Well, one, you have the power plan, right? And that's the manifestation path on how to create what it is that I want. Number two, I respect and admire you, how you speak, the way your business mind works, and you're able to help me put into play and put an action together of something that I'm thinking about it, and you're able to help me see how to do it. Just have the plan, right? And then the Oracle. Right? The Oracle is awesome. I love her. And she cracks me up sometimes because she's so right on. She's so right on. But really, the way that you help me to really focus on what it is that I want, trust in myself that I can do it. And, I really believe that, wealth is a really good thing. I think that, where wealth and money is a good thing to have, and we're meant to enjoy a beautiful life. And money doesn't make us happy, but it allows us to do the things that we want to do, so that, we work so that we can create the money to fund our lifestyle, but our lifestyle is what it is. And you really helped me to really focus on what that is, and even to call myself the Millionaire Manifester. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
Which I think that's a great point. Like, I love that you bring that up. Like, for me, it is always like, what is the ultimate for the individual? So when you look at okay, so we've been working together for a few months, and we're here now. I know part of what I said in the beginning, and I'm definitely, most people are like, hey, we said we're going to talk about it. Let's talk about the numbers. You had one of those things that we were talking about, people have, which is like a limiter that you were running up against. And can you talk to us a little bit about, it's probably been about a month now? It feels like yesterday, but I don't know. Where you were in a place where it wasn't working, and what do you feel like I offered you that helped change that, and what were the results once you took that on?
Well, So, one of the goals that I have is I want to be considered a luxury agent with Keller Williams. And in order to do that, I have to have 2 transactions at $2.5 million. And so, I kept thinking, oh, how am I going to do that? And I was focusing on what commissions were when I was creating my business plans. And you helped me to look at volume. Right? Not units, but volume, to look in the millions. And that shifted everything for me, because once I realized, okay, I'm looking at things in the millions. I know that I want to get a couple of $2.5 million deals. And it was like, I saw things differently, and you helped me to see, like I took off the glasses of low numbers and opened up to large numbers, because that's really what life's about. And as a coach to other realtors, I would help them to see the dollar, the sales volume, because it just puts you in a different mindset. So.
Oh, so true. And I know that, what you had shared with us in our group was this idea that, you had kind of come against this wall. And then when we shifted that, was it a week later? Was it the weekend after? I don't remember exactly, but I remember it being like shortly afterwards. Not only did your team expand and grow in their volume, but then you came right behind and nailed a big week volume for yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about what that felt like to kind of get to the other side?
Yes. So it was the Oracle had told me that I need to do Ho'oponopono. And that is the Hawaiian prayer of forgiveness. And not only do I need to do Ho'oponopono, I was told to do it 7 times a day for 7 days. Now, that is where you say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, I thank you. And so at first I felt self-conscious doing that, right? And then because I am an energy worker, I was able to bring in the energy of, I'm sorry, like really to mean it. And this was to myself. Like I really had to practice self-forgiveness. And it was huge. So 7 days for 7 times a day. It was very powerful. And at the end of that 7 days, I got clients for a total of $4 million in sales.
Yes.
And it was like magic.
I remember the moment you posted that, I was like it is the release though. And something important that you said, everybody hopefully listening, is that it is always in our power to change how we think about something.
Yes.
And that money piece, it's so embroiled in a lot of things for a lot of people. So like I could just hear people like going 7 times. Okay, so if you heard that, that may not be your prescription. One of the things that the Oracle and I tend to do is kind of, I call us tag team, right? Is that we do look at the individual, and that talks about like what's unique about you, what's unique about what you have to offer, and who you are, and how you're being. So I know that part of this whole process and this journey of you becoming the luxury agent for the enlightened is tied to, like you said, the power plan, but it's also tied to your purpose. And I know that you have a really valuable space for holding a light on that. What would you say made knowing your purpose helpful or not helpful? Like, how did that help along the way?
Well, for so long, I always related to myself being a healer. And I kept thinking, oh, I need to do something as a healer. And then it was like, I couldn't think of how do I do this, right? It was like, what do I do? How do I do that? and realizing that my life purpose is that I can bring, joy and wisdom and love to the world as a healer, then it was like, oh, well, that's who I am. And then the vehicle can be the real estate, can be the transformational life coaching, can be realtor coaching, right? The business coaching. So once I realized that I just be who I am, then everything else just fell into place and made sense. And, doing the Ho'oponopono, it was like it released me from any limiting beliefs that I had about, oh, you need to do this, you need to do this, it needs to be that way. Doing that made me open up to being open to however I needed to do it. And it's been a wonderful journey since.
I love it. Are you done?
No. There is no more to get.
Just checking. Because, there are people right now that are thinking like, wow, I mean, yes, we're talking in millions, but I think that was important that you mentioned that. We have to hold our mind open to what we want, but we have to visualize what that really is. And sometimes as we're getting ready to get help to figure that out, people can feel like, are they going to make a mistake? It's an investment to work with a coach. And oftentimes, especially around money, it feels like, oh my gosh, I'm going to invest more. And, maybe I'm in this stuck spot, as you said. So what do you think helped you make the decision to still invest in yourself and put money in yourself, even though what you were seeing wasn't really that, abundant at the moment? Like, what would you say to the person who's out there going, yeah, but, right? Yeah, but what if? I don't know. Maybe you didn't have that feeling, but,
I did. It was scary. It was a scary decision to, make this big investment for a coach. What I realized, though, is I'm done playing small. I'm done. I want to live a beautiful life. I'm going to be 60 years old. And I know, I'm so excited. I'm going to be 60. And I realized that, no more waiting, no more, oh, one day I'll do this. Now the time is now. And I really get that whole principle and understanding that, we only have the now. And so as scared as I was, because I was scared, it was a big commitment, I chose to believe in myself. And I chose to put myself first and go for what I wanted in my life. And I knew that you were going to be able to help me get there, because any way that you pushed me outside of my comfort zone, it was with love, but firm. And that's how I do it. And so I thought, oh yeah, she's the one.
I love that. Love, firm love. Yes, that is firm love. Perfect description of what happens inside of our containers. But there is always love, always love. So I want to wrap this up, because I know I'm just thinking, like, who's watching us right now? And I do see you right now in our setup. We can't see if you're commenting. I promise we'll come back and swing back to the comments and everything. But I know that oftentimes when clients make this big decision and they come to this realization that they've made a goal, I love the fact that you're sharing that it's the idea that, oh, I can do this, so what else is possible? So I'm curious for you, as you're sitting here now, what's your next big goal that you have on the horizon that you're going to reach?
I'm going to buy myself a house.
Yeah.
Ocean.
By the ocean. I'm excited because I'm going to go visit. That's all.
I know. I love it. I'm going to have the Leah room.
Come on over. Thank you so much for sharing. If there's one thing you would tell somebody about your experience that's sitting there listening right now, what would you want them to know is possible for them if they get together with me and work with me?
If there's a calling in your soul that tells you that there's something that you want, there's something that's waiting for you, then trust that voice and trust that feeling and allow Leah to help you, because she sees you and she understands what you want and she will help you get there. All you have to do is just trust her and you'll love it. I promise.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So let's make sure, because, the luxury agent, is going to be spreading across the land, I am sure. So let people know how they can reach out to you. Where can they find you?
So I do have a website. It's edithespinola.kw.com. And then I'm also on Facebook, Edith Espinola, or Edith Morcellus Espinola. And those are probably, yeah, that's right, Edith Morcellus Espinola. And that's probably the easiest ways to get a hold of me.
Great. And is there a hashtag we might want to know about?
Yes, hashtag work with Edith.
Oh my gosh, you guys, this is amazing. Thank you so much, Edith, for sharing your journey. I know that you've inspired people to understand that there is a room past that wall that they've maybe been living under, and that, we can talk in millions. We can talk in millions, and money, as you said, is a good thing to have in our lives, and it does allow us to do so much more with what we want to do and who we want to serve. So I'm so grateful that you took time out of your busy day, and I appreciate you being here to share your journey. I'm excited and looking forward to our continued work together, and I know that we'll be doing probably another follow-up very soon about where you are next. So if you want to know more, if you're in California and you want the best and brightest illuminated and lovely luxury agent, then please make sure you check in with Edith. Follow her online at Facebook. And of course, if you want to just drop in and find her fast, hashtag work with Edith. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. I'm Leah Dunlap, the Oracle on Purpose. And remember, you are here on purpose.
Thanks for tuning in to the Oracle on Purpose show. If you found value in this episode, we'd appreciate you leaving a comment. Also, you can subscribe and ring the bell if you haven't yet. If you'd like to get clear on your highest vision and next steps, go to oracleonpurpose.com. See you next week.